Yeah, other than that, we'll let you know. Now, Ontario, because we're going to be in the same kind of scenery for a while, most everything is going to be economic drivers, are going to be the forestry service and mining services. And then, of course, there's going to be hunting and fishing lodges as well as other places go. So that's going to be the major economic drivers kicking around here. So you guys can see that. Now, once we get into the prairies, we'll see. Oh, and there's a pusher car, yeah. So, like I said, about 4,000 horsepower each on these guys. And there's still only a set of 2 engineers that do the entire freight train, but they have almost radio packs that they can drive the other engines with. So that's usually how that works.
Or remote control.
Pardon me?
Remote control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, enjoy. Right now we're in Southern Ontario, so the trees have leaves on them quite a bit. But Northern Ontario, it's going to be a lot more pine. But the buds are just starting to come out. Same thing.
So it's later in the season.
Yeah, because it's
north.
still cold up there. Like in between the trains, right, or in between the trains, trees right now, you can actually see there's still snow in some areas.
Yeah.
Because the sun just.
We'll be pleased. We've got loads of warm clothing, and we've been too hot.
Good. Now, folks. One of the things that we will notice are big propane tanks on the sides of the car, on the sides of the tracks. And like right over here, it's almost kind of a looking garden shed looking area here. Those are the radio relays for the radios that go all the way to the RTC, which is actually based in Edmonton. All of Canada is based in Edmonton. So they also have what we call the axle counters and the hot box detectors. Now, hotbox detectors were in the news about 2 months ago because in Ohio, some of the hotbox detectors, they took out about 2/3 of them, but it kept you knowing how hot the bearings were. And what happened on that train is the bearings weren't working and they ended up melting, and that's what happened with that derailment, and then it like spilled all kinds of chemicals all over the place. Other things to keep an eye out for now is going to be mile markers. They're about yay big, they're white with black writing on them, and we count up until we do a mile reset point at one point or another. And I want to say that's going to be Cape Riel for us, and it'll go back down to 0 and count back up until we get the Hornpain back to 0, and that's how we can tell where we're at and so forth like that. So the other mile markers that we have are on the signals themselves, but they're black with white writing, and they're actually more specific, where it, instead of saying mile marker 70, it'll say 700 because it's really 70.0. And so they know if there's something that happens on part of the track, they know on what side of the mile it will be. So that's kind of the idea. Now, other things to keep an eye out for are those propane tanks. Those keep these switches powered for the heaters for snow and ice, to keep the switches available in the winter time. And then we have speed limit signs as with cars, but they're usually a diamond shape. They're usually yellow, sometimes they're white. And if there's 2 numbers on them, the top number is how fast passenger trains can go, and the bottom is how fast freight can go. If there's only 1 number, it's the same for everybody. And those are kind of the big ones. So that's that one of the propane tanks I was talking about right over there. And as we kind of keep going, we'll have some what we lovingly call foamers, the train buffs. They love seeing us, so they'll come out. Yeah, so we call them the foamers. A complete term of endearment, but because they foam at the
foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, so continuing on. Let's see if I can find another mile marker for you. But yeah, you'll see there's a couple of different signs out there for us. There's about 90 different signs for the engineers to look at in all of Canada. Now, 25 of them are pretty standard, and then the other 90 sometimes are just in other places in northern Canada that you don't see too much, but there is a big flip book that they can see what's all kind of happening like that.
Why did we go through that arch then, full of lights? That thing we've just gone through.
Oh, that was probably the signals?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that's where all the signals
Oh,
are.
the other signals?
Yeah, exactly. So, once again, they're green, but as soon as the head-end passes,
No,
they
the
turn
one
red.
that the lights all the way around.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that.
It was floodlights, like it didn't inspection.
Oh, okay, that might have been. I personally am a Vancouver guy. I'm usually go to Vancouver more than I do Toronto, so I might not know everything around here, but I can always find out.
Oh, that's disappointing. I'm going to stop recording. He doesn't know everything.
No, I cut my teeth going to Toronto when I was started off here, but for the last about 14 years, I've been going to Vancouver more exclusively. This is actually an extra trip for me. I had a bunch of friends on here, so I decided, hey, why not take it off? Most of the crew, usually how it works is, well, at least out west for we do, it's 6 days on and 10 to 14 days off.
Oh, good.
You're working from 6 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. every night, and so you're putting in usually about 90 hours in 6 days in Vancouver style. Out here you do about 65 in 5 days, and you have 5 days off and you kind of come back, but it's a little bit of a quicker trip as it goes, and it's also a little less busy. Since you're going through Northern Ontario, there's not as much population density, so there's not as many big cities. So for us, Winnipeg is our first big city, and that's where we're gonna re-water, refuel the train, restock the train, restaff the train, and then after that, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Jasper is the big turnover. So sometimes we get 90 people off the train and then 90 new people back on the train, because a lot of people do what's kind of the mountain loop. They will stop off in Jasper, spend a few days there, go down to Banff, and then usually go down into Vancouver or something along those lines anyways. So
How many people are on the train?
right now I think we're at about 150-ish. I'll have to check my actual numbers. But
what's the capacity?
Usually it's you sell and then you add a car. You know,
Right.
and
Oh,
you
I
just
see.
kinda go
Right.
like that.
Oh, right.
Now, we usually average about 21 cars in the summertime, but when I first started, the longest train I had ever been on was 36 cars. That was almost a mile long, and we had 3 dining cars at that point. Now, we don't do it as much anymore because on the long train, just every time you have to re-water it, you'd have to move it 3 times to get to all the hoses, and it just got later and later all the time, so they just don't play that game anymore. But yeah, on average, it's usually about 20 to 21 cars. And funny enough, we're actually on the good car. I don't know if folks can see, there's kind of like little waves on this car right here. So what happened is when these are being refurbished in 2014 for the Prestige car, they went to go lift them off of the tracks using a crane, but they didn't have a safety bar in the middle, and what happened is the car crunched itself. And the whole problem that nobody realized had happened is that all the window seals had busted, and we only realized that after the first rain. Yeah. So that was kind of the eye opener for us. So yeah, folks. Once again, whenever I see something interesting, I'll come yell at you, and
I might too.
And Kevin might as well. Yeah, he's and actually he's usually here just for rebuttals against me. If anything.
I'm sorry, is he still
Well, he
boring
comes
you
to
folks?
rescue
That's right, I know. I'm trying to
Ready to
Yeah.
yellow cards. Kevin, he's already getting the yellow right now.
I'm trying to wrap
Good
this
job.
up for you folks. Sorry.
Yeah. Give me a bill at the end.
I know, you want to get back to looking out the window without the running commentary here. Sorry about this, folks. Yeah.
No.